Good morning, Chameleon class. I hope you all had a fantastic half term. Now, we are going to be continuing with our Danger Gang book. Now, we've got 4 chapters left. We're going to read about half a chapter at a time, and then hopefully, when we're back to school, we can choose another book that we can read as well. Now, I haven't read this for the whole of half term, so I am going to find out what's going to happen in September, as you guys are. Dear Danny, summer is well and truly over. The first day back at school was grey and rainy and just a little bit too cold. But everyone had a new pencil case, which totally made up for everything because nothing is better than a new pencil case. Susie had a flappy plastic one, Molly had the one that you could see through, and Eric had a shiny metal one that was indestructible, unless Roddy Nutbolt stamped on it. Technically, I didn't have a new pencil case. I had the awesome one that Mum made me for when we first moved to Freaky, but it was still the coolest of everyone's. I got it out and showed it off to the secret compartments and detachable yoghurt spoon and mega bright torch, which to be honest hasn't totally been the same since the night of the storm, but it still works just as fine as long as you don't mind a little electric shock every now and then, which is lucky for me, because without it I'd be in a whole heap of doo-doo right now, and here's why. Once the initial pencil case excitement wore off and learning began, things quickly settled into the usual lesson vibe. But then Miss Tinky went to make the months 10 times better by dropping some awesome news. Class, she announced, some of you may already know that in a few days' time there's going to be a very special event above our town. A total solar eclipse. Everyone thought this was super awesome, but not because of the rare astronomical phenomenon that would align the sun, the moon, and the earth so perfectly that the moon could cause a total blackout in the middle of the day. No, the kids thought this was awesome because, and so that we can observe this, you will all be having the afternoon off school, added Miss Tinky. That's right, we will be getting the afternoon off school. But to my left, I noticed a shaky hand being raised in the air. Yes, Jamelia? Asked Miss Tinky. Jamelia looked terrified. Miss, she said, what about the legend of the freaky Freybug? No, I had no idea what a Freybug was either. Some of the older kids in my class knew what Jamelia was talking about, but most didn't. So Miss Tinky wrote this ancient poem about it on the board. It was pretty cool, really, already, but I'd spiced it up a little to make it even better. The Legend of the Freaky Freybug. Rethunk and illustrated by Frankie A. Brown. A long time ago, in a freaky far, far away, in the blistering heat of the midday sun, a crowd gathered in Freaky Square. A shadow was cast by the moon as it passed, and it fell over everyone there. They cheered and high-fived as the sky was with glee, and the annual eclipse celebration. But there was something in the dark with a deep, dreadful bark that looked like this awesome illustration. It's a lion, it's a bear, it's a monster, they cried, for this dog was no poodle or pug. As it prowled through the streets looking for something to eat, someone screamed, It's the Freaky Freybug! Its fur was black as the shadow of the moon, its eyes was bright as the sun, and the thick grey fog that surrounded the dog scared the pants off everyone. The moon soon cleared and the sun returned, and thankfully no one was eaten. But not for a year goes by when the shadow in the sky doesn't bring back the freaky dog demon. Each year it appears as the sun goes black, each year looking hungrier and thinner. So find somewhere to hide, stay home, stay inside, or you might become the Freaky Freybug's dinner. So Freaky legend has it that the Freaky Freybug is not something like a weird bug that I first thought, but a giant dog. And it can only appear and hunt for food during the blackout of the solar eclipse. Apparently there used to be loads of sightings of this giant dog, but it's not been seen for years now. Pretty scary stuff, right? Well, Jamelia certainly thought it was, but then Jamelia's scared of everything. She even made a list once. Jamelia Pointer's scary list of scary things. The dark, scary. Clowns, super scary. Creakers, terrifying. The sound of hoovering, petrifying. Freaky Freybugs, horrifying. Despite it appearing on Jamelia's list, everyone else laughed when Miss Tinky read the poem, as though it was just a load of rubbish. Jamelia shook her head. It can't be rubbish, she told us all. I know that the Freaky Freybug is real. How? Asked Ronnie. Because the Freaky Freybug ate my friend of my great-granddad's cousin's uncle during the total eclipse of 1892, Jamelia shrieked. Total rubbish, right? Everyone agreed, so we forgot about the scary giant dog that could potentially sink out the shadows to eat us during the eclipse, and spent the rest of the class learning about how eclipses work. Here's a little diagram to show you. I guess this is easy for us to know with super awesome telescopes and satellites to help figure it out. But back in the ancient times, before there were computers or cars, when the parents were young, it must have been proper scary stuff. Imagine just walking along when suddenly there's a whole sky turns black and the sun goes out like a light. No wonder people got spooked by stories about giant dogs that lurk in the shadows. Anyway, Jamelia spent the whole lesson on edge, looking over her shoulder in case a giant black hound crept up on her. Ronnie barked like a dog, which made Jamelia fall off her chair with fright. Most of the kids in the class thought it was super hilarious. I felt pretty bad for her, but I didn't think she was being a bit silly. Believe that old story. I mean, giant dogs, as if. Little did we all know that Jamelia would have the last laugh. When Eclipse Day came, there was such a buzz around the school. Everyone was being made these special viewing boxes so we could watch the eclipse without damaging our eyes. Mum wouldn't help me with mine. I asked her to, obviously. No one did my homework for me, Frankie. I used my own initiative, she told me as she dished out spaghetti and meatballs for dinner. Easy for her to say. She's an inventor. I'm just a kid who doesn't listen properly, so mine ended up looking like this. But it passed Miss Tinky's safety test, so I was allowed to use it, and I forgave Mum pretty quick because the spaghetti and meatballs was yummy. School finished early and the whole school marched out on the bank of glistening green water of Lake Freaky, all the way to the old town square to watch the eclipse. The school band, McFreaky, were even playing, which made the whole thing feel like a great big festival. Ronnie figured out a way of making a little extra money to spend in the tuck shop. He was selling Eclipse Fest t-shirts. I wish I'd thought of it first. Plus, those t-shirts were super cool and selling out fast. I asked Mum if I could get one, which was a big mistake, because she shut down Ronnie's whole business and made him give all the money back. The good news was that Mum confiscated the leftover stock, so I've now got a whole box of Eclipse Fest t-shirts now. I'm going to keep them in a box and sell them in 40 years when they're vintage, like Dad's band t-shirts that look and smell about 1,000 years old. All of a sudden, everyone started the big countdown and their Eclipse view devices at the ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. It felt New Year's Eve, except when we reached 1, there wasn't any cheering and kissing, just silence, as everyone watched the black moon starting to block out the sun. It was super awesome seeing the moon made the middle of the day look like the middle of the night. The whole town watched as the shadow fell over us like a blanket of darkness, and couldn't help but notice that this shadow had a slight hint of green to it. It was this green, shadowy silence, that I first heard the growl. We're going to hold it there. Tune in tomorrow for the second instalment of our chapter of September, and we'll find out if the dog is real. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you soon.